Hello there. It is a beautiful day here in Springfield, Missouri, and thought I'd take a little bit of time again to make a video, again speaking about World War II and my growing up years during that time. I do this so that maybe teachers can use these videos in their classrooms and their students will get an experience of what it is like to go through a war at a very young age and the effects it has on that person, the effects it had on me going through this war. Because once you do this, you are never the same. I am often asked the question, if I have lost someone that is dear to me during this war, and I can say that my two brothers that were 12 and 13 years older than I and went to war and fought in Finland and other places, they came home from this war. They had prison time to observe, one in Russia and the other in France, and it was 3 to 4 years after the war that they were still gone from us. But they came home, and coming home is what every family wants. No one wants to lose anyone, no one. But in our extended family, on my mother's side, I lost two uncles in the early years of the war. Both of them died. And they left behind, of course, my cousins. My Aunt Lainey had two boys. Rolfie was 3 years old when he lost his dad, and his older brother was 6, my age, when he lost his dad. And my Aunt Friedchen had 3 children. There was Matzel, Dieter, and Hannelore. And they too, for the rest of their life, they had to miss their dad. Both of my aunts never remarried. When they raised their children, I'm very, very sure, as these children were growing up, that she looked for resemblances in their faces, in the way they talked or laughed, to the husbands that they had lost so early in their married life. So yes, we did lose loved ones, and they were missed, and by their wives to the end of their days, because my two aunts never remarried. They just raised their children. War leaves an effect on people when you go through it that you'll never forget. And it changes you to a degree. I don't wish war on anyone. So therefore, I'm very, very sad that the Ukrainians are right now fighting such a war, because it is horrible and it will affect them for the rest of their life when the war is over, like it has done for me and my family, for all the German people, all the ones that fought the war, the Second World War at that time. Um, Mom and I uh, went through the bombing raids day by day, night by night. Mom laid my clothing over a little chair that was standing next to my bed. And when the sirens went off, we had to run. I jumped out of my bed, grabbed my clothes, and ran toward my mom. And she grabbed my hand and practically dragged me down to the air raid shelter, because within 5 minutes, the planes were there to drop their deadly cargo on all of us. And when we came out of this air raid shelter, nighttime was turned into daytime. And the smell that was in the air, the heat that we felt on our faces from the burning building was unbelievable. I don't wish this on anyone, on anyone. Behind our house that we lived in, and we lived on the front part to the front street, the main street, the house behind our house was bombed. And it was a blaze. The way I remember it, it was a blaze. It was a furnace. And my dad, even though my parents were divorced, after such an air raid, always came to see us. And we knew then that he was alive and he saw that we were. And he never came just not doing anything, just hugging us. He always grabbed a bucket of water because we formed a bucket brigade and tried to help put water on the flames that were shooting up into the sky. It was a small effort, but everyone tried to put out the flames. But usually we didn't succeed because the power of the fire was so great, it would burn down the building. But I remember there was a woman standing next to me and she was crying very hard. She was expecting a baby, and the baby carriage was up on the third floor in that burning building. And my father saw the way she cried and wanted the carriage, that he dashed into these flames. And my mom was hollering, "Franz, don't do it. You will die in there." But he was gone. And then mom and I stood holding hands, hoping he would make it back to us. It took a little while, but there he came with the baby carriage for this woman. And I've never forgotten her happiness to have this baby carriage, the only thing that could be saved out of that burning building. And my father gave that to her. Time went by, and then my mom took me by the hand, and one day we made a walk away from home to a cemetery, and we stood in front of a grave. Mom had bought some flowers and gave them to me and said for me to put them into the vase that was next to the marker. Now, I was small. I couldn't read the names on this marker. But my mom said, "Daggy, do you remember your dad carrying down the baby carriage from the burning building?" And yes, of course I remembered. She said, "This right here is a place where this woman and her baby are resting." She had to find another apartment, and it was bombed. And she and her baby lost their lives. Mom said she never had the chance to use a baby carriage. This happened to many, many, many people. One day you're there, or they are there, and the next day they are gone. And there's always someone that will put flowers on that grave. Always someone that will remember for the rest of their lives that they lost someone that was dear to them. So if you're asking me, did we lose loved ones we cared very much about? Yes, we certainly did. And so did many, many, many others. And not just on my side, the German side, but anyone fighting a war, the soldiers that have to go and fight, the families at home, whether it was in Russia, in England, during the Blitz, many, many would lose what is dear to them. In my way of thinking, there should never be any war fought. People should get along. People should love one another, hold each other to the end of their days, and be grateful for the life they have to live. And most of all, people should guard their freedom. Freedom not to be under a dictatorship like Germany was, or like in this world still other countries are. We that are Americans should be so grateful for the freedom that we enjoy to be ourselves, to speak our mind, and when we do speak our mind, to know that we will not be arrested for the way we feel and think. Freedom to be yourself, to raise your family, to be full grown, and to live their life. This freedom we must guard and stand up for and be proud of and grateful for. So I hope you got something out of this little talk that I had with you this morning. I hope that you will use what you heard and pass it on to somebody else so that they also may be grateful for the freedom that they are enjoying. And with this, I'm going to say goodbye and always God bless you. And the next time, we'll talk a little bit more. So, goodbye for now, and God bless you.